Africa is a continent with rich history, rich minerals, rich nature, and rich culture. But the same continent with so many rich things happens to be the most poorest continent of all the continents. The problem with Africa started when colonization started. European countries came into Africa to exploit it, and when they were done, they left Africa. Leaving Africa meant that they leave dictators to run countries in Africa. In the recent years, in the recent days, in the recent months, we have seen a lot of coup d'etats in Africa. And strange enough, coup d'etat is French. It just means overthrowing of government by a smaller group. Mainly this is done by military groups in African countries, because when you look at their reasons, most of them are tired of tyrants. They are tired of dictators in Africa who do not care about the people of Africa, but all they care about is how they enrich themselves. Presidents are running for 40 years and so on in Africa, while the people of Africa remain starving. For those people, it's all about money. And they take instruction from European countries because they still look at the masters to say what has to be done next. Now, with the recent coup d'etats, the latest being Gabon, we take a look at all the countries, mainly the latest one that have initiated coup d'etats in their own countries. The leaders deciding that enough is enough. We've seen Burkina Faso, we've seen Sudan, so we need to look at all the list of the recent coup d'etats that happened in Africa, and also look at what is the implication of these countries deciding to take those measures. On the 11th of April 2019, there was a coup d'etat in Sudan, removing the current president Omar al-Bashir. He was removed by the Sudanese armed forces, and he was a president from the 16th of October 1993 until the 11th of April 2019. That is when the armed forces decided that enough is enough. We are finally removing you as the president of Sudan. Fun fact about Omar al-Bashir, he once traveled into South Africa, and when he arrived there, ICC ordered South Africa to arrest him for his war crimes, but in turn, South Africa did not arrest him. That's when he left South Africa. And South Africa received criticism for not arresting Omar al-Bashir for his war crimes. 2. On the 18th of August 2020, there was a coup d'etat in Mali, removing the president Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. He resigned and dissolved the government. But that was not the only coup d'etat in Mali, because on the 21st of March 2012, there was a coup d'etat which offered the opportunity for Ibrahim to become the president in 2013. On the 25th of July 2021, there was what is called self-coup. The Hichem Mechichi government was overthrown by the Tunisian president Kais Saied. This happening during the pandemic meant that the healthcare system of Tunisian people faced immense problems. There was another coup on the 5th of September 2021 in Guinea. This time, their president Alpha Condé was taken prisoner by the military on that date, which meant the end of his rule. There was another coup on the 25th of October 2021 in Sudan. Their General Abdel Fattah, working together with the military, staged a coup against the government. In the process, they arrested 5 government officials. On the 23rd of January 2022, there was a coup in Burkina Faso. The military of Burkina Faso did a live broadcasting announcing the takeover from President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore, meaning that the coup has successfully been done. On the 30th of September 2022, there was another coup in Burkina Faso. Interim President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba was removed from the Burkina Faso presidency because he could not handle the nation's Islamic insurgency. This means that Ibrahim Traoré assumed command in an acting capacity. On the 26th of July 2023, there was another coup in Niger. President Mohamed Bazoum was removed, and in turn, Commander General Chiani decided to take power. With the coup in Niger, ECOWAS decided to intervene on this matter, and Niger was closed Even the airspace was closed because they decided and they were fighting against the intervention of ECOWAS. Following the elections in Gabon, Ali Bongo was declared victorious. Now the soldiers from the Presidential Guard announced the cancellation of the elections and the dissolution of the regime. These are all the coups that took place in Africa of latest, and it speaks of how people are fighting for power, for leadership, and it speaks of how Africa is a very rich continent, but it remains poor, because leadership is a vital role, and that vital role cannot be played by the people of Africa. If people of Africa unite, work together to create a better Africa, maybe it can challenge countries in Europe. But because the same people in Africa are looking for guidance from the European countries, that is when they fall back and never go any step forward. Africa is a beautiful continent. It does not need all the wars. It does not need all the changing of powers. It does not need all the friction in Africa. If only the people, the leaders of Africa, can come together and see that the goal is to build a better Africa, maybe Africa would be a better continent. Looking back, the previous leaders, they tried the best, but what they did is to stay in power for a long time. Maybe it's about time the people of Africa realize that it is time for young people to take power in Africa, so that with fresh minds they can build, they can move forward Africa to be able to be recognized and respected by all the continents in the world. It remains to be seen if Africa can finally decide that enough is enough. There is no more fightings, there is no more wars in Africa. What is needed is peace, and then they can stop this thing of coup d'etats so that forward Africa can go, and then it can continue to produce its minerals.